want to ask you, in relation to the Christianity question, I wanted to ask you about Islam's current approach to Christianity, particularly in other parts of the world. I mean, people will know about the Nigeria situation. I know you've got Coptic heritage, and Coptic Christians suffered enormously under ISIS. People might be familiar with the Coptic martyrs from 10 years ago, I think, who were publicly beheaded by ISIS, or it was filmed. Really extraordinary medieval stuff. When you give us a sense of what the current Islamic tension with Christians is like in some of those parts of the world. I mean, how bad are things getting? And I guess also, why aren't we talking about it more here in the West?
The easiest way I can summarize this for you most objectively, I think, is that there's an international human rights organization known as Open Doors, who's been around for decades, and annually they publish a report called the World Watch List, which ranks the 50 worst nations that persecute Christians around the world. And if you look at it, as I do every year, I analyze it, I write about it. If you look at those 50 nations, something like 38 are Islamic, okay? And the source of the persecution is, they give it different names. One is Islamic oppression. And if you look at the absolute worst, because they categorize it the worst form is called extreme persecution. And this afflicts, I think, something like 13 countries out of the 50. And that means basically if you're just found as a Christian, you could just get killed, thrown in jail, just mauled, whatever. If you look at that list, I think something like 11 or at least 10 of the 13 are Muslim. Okay. And at the same time, if you look at that list, Muslim countries are a wide variety around the world. You have black Muslim nations, you have Arabs, you have Persians, who, yes, don't like to be called Arabs. You have Afghans, you have Pakistanis, you have Indonesians, like Chinese Sinic-looking people, Filipinos. And why is it that all these different countries, different races, different languages, different socio-economic, political circumstances, why do they all have Christian persecution? Well, obviously, the only common denominator is Islam. Okay, so yes, the Muslim persecution of Christians is a real thing. I've been writing about it. I have one book dedicated to it, came out 2013, called Crucified Again. But before that, since 2011, I've been writing monthly reports, which basically look at every month and see, what happened to Christians. And it's just keeps getting longer and longer. Maybe your average report now is two dozen accounts, which range from outright massacres and beheadings in places like Nigeria, under ISIS, Mozambique, increasingly Democratic Republic of Congo. But before that, we saw it in ISIS in the Middle East as well, and other terrorist organizations. Or it could be something as benign as the government itself bans churches, arrests Christians for meeting and praying, that sort of thing. So it's a real thing. And as you mentioned, yes, of course, it's not something we're supposed to know about because the controllers of our epistemology and information, of course, don't want you to know that, just like they don't want you to know the truth about the Crusades, because there is an actual war going on for your mind and your soul. And and it's all about information, what's hidden from you and what's shared with you, and the lies and the propaganda that are, people are bombarded with to get them to agree and accept a certain agenda. It's all lies. And to find out that Christians are the most persecuted people in the world and the vast majority of it is under Islam, obviously won't do. When an Islamic host enters a Christian nation, the first thing is violence and conquest. But according to Islamic law, then you have this thing where Christians and Jews, so-called people of the book, can keep their religion and live in an Islamic society, but as second-class, what's called dhimmis, who have to pay tribute, and literally they have to know their place, okay? That continues to live on very well. So in all these Islamic nations, even though their constitutions will talk about equality of religion, it's implicit and understood within the society that, no, that doesn't exist, okay? So Egypt, for example, we mentioned it, was inherently a Christian nation in the 7th century, one of the largest, if not the largest, Christian nation at the time in the world. And when Islam invaded it, it conquered it, and then it gave them that choice where you can keep your religion, but you have to pay tribute and be a third-class citizen. But according to this pact, it's called the Pact of Omar, or the Stipulations of Omar, you can't build a new church. You can't renovate a church. You have to let it wait until it falls apart. For example, you can't, publicly express your Christian faith or talk about your religion or show a Bible or a cross. And that's still the case till this very day. And again, not on paper. On paper, it looks good. It looks normal. It looks equal. But everyone knows, from the government higher-ups to the Muslim population to the Copts themselves, understand how it works. So habitually, if a Christian is accused of, repairing, the bathroom of their church, a Muslim mob will rise up and attack them. If they actually are accused, or someone thinks they're going to build a church, an even bigger one rises, even if they did finally get a permit after waiting 50 years. And then the authorities either look the other way, and then finally they revoke the permit and say, oh, the church is a security threat because Muslims are angry at it. So you still have that kind of thing going on. The spirit of this, supremacism and discrimination, it still completely exists all throughout the Islamic world, where Christians are. And you still have, of course, and where they're still not fully subjugated, let's say a place like Nigeria, which is half Christian, half Muslim, well, you have a full-blown jihad, just like the historical manifestation, where it's just outright violence and carnage until Muslims can get that upper hand, and then you live as a base second-class citizen. So, if anything, it's perfect continuity that I see, the same exact patterns, based on changing circumstances, evolving situations. But again, yeah, it's not just the same people who are hiding the history are also hiding the current events.